Hey guys, Selwyn here from WynnStrength.com. Starting off week 6 of the Powerbuilding 2 template by Barbell Medicine. This will be day 1, so we're going to be doing some squats, bench press accessories, and then some more leg accessory work. Because it's week 6, we're actually starting the last half of the 10-week program where we're transitioning away from volume and hypertrophy over to powerlifting, strength, and single rep max development. So for the first half of the program, we focused on the rep ranges from like 5 to 6 for the main movements, and then 8 to 12 for the accessory movements. And now gearing up for the powerlifting segment of the template, we'll actually be dialing back the reps to focus on heavy singles and then some volume work afterwards. But we're going to be starting off with lower RPE of RPE 8 for the first couple of weeks, and then building up that intensity and the RPE, as well as building up the volume again. So what you want to see in a good template is it's not static from week 1 to week 6, 10, or 12. We want to have a build-up of development and some sort of progression towards the end of that program. So what we did was we started off relatively light with low volume, and then over the first 5 weeks we increased the weight and the volume with a mindset towards volume. That's the hypertrophy section of the template. And now we're moving to the powerlifting segment, so we're going to be dialing down the volume a little bit while increasing the weight so that we get that single rep max practice. So the warm-up's going to be pretty similar to the volume. I'm still going to do the empty barbell for about 10 to 15 reps for about 3 sets, which I've just finished. I'm going to start adding some weight. Once I hit 225, I'm going to start dialing down to singles, but I'll do 135 for 5, 185 for 3, then 225 for 3, and then everything up until my working goal will be singles all the way up. That way, just like before, I can gauge the RPE for that rep range. So just got done with the second heavy single for the day. That one felt a lot better. I cut the depth, I think, right on point. It's different going from volume to singles. That's why I think it is a good thing that it transitions over to singles, and that if you ever do want to get better at heavy singles, I mean, the best thing to do is do some heavy singles. It's a different exertion, a different force production than if you're going to repeat the reps. You only get one chance to get it right. So this is where technique is really important, because a lot of exercises, you can feel it on the first rep where it's not great, and then you can correct that in the second and ongoing reps. But for a heavy single, you really have one chance to dial in that technique to execute the lift as perfectly as possible. So this is where technique is key. This is why I think you build up a foundation of doing heavy repetitions before you start doing the heavy singles, so that you've built in and you've ingrained that technique as second nature, as muscle memory. So just got done. Just got done with 385. Felt great. These singles are coming up quite nicely. Definitely a different energy expenditure system, but feeling great, feeling solid. Getting the technique kind of dialed in as we go up in sets. So focus on keeping the knees out, keeping the legs out, getting a big breath. One thing I did make a mistake on with that set was to exhale after I unracked the bar. Try and take a deep breath, walk back, and then top it up some more so that you get a bit more pressure inside. So just got done with 395 for 1. Felt like a great RPE 7. Feeling really solid. I might actually be able to go up in weight. We'll see how the 405 goes. Haven't lifted that weight in a while, but I'm going to put on video that I think we can go heavier than 405 this week. So just did 405 for 1. I mean, closest RPE 7.5, so I'm going to bump it up 415 and probably call it a day. This is a different type of tide. I'm not as sweaty as I normally am. We're about 50 minutes into the workout, so just about done with squats. I just have this last set to go. Then what's cool is we're going to do some volume work after this. And again, like most programs, we start off with light volume and then the new phase, and then each week we're going to be building up more and more volume and more intensity as well. So we're driving up intensity and driving up volume, with intensity obviously being the priority, with volume being the secondary work. So we're just about to get started with the volume set. This week there's only one volume set of 5 reps. What's great, again, I'm going to stress it again, the Barbell Medicine templates have RPE calculators. So based on today's performance of 415 by 1 at 8, it's going to be 375 for 5 at a predicted RPE of 9. So this will be close to failure. Pretty maximal loading here, but we didn't do a lot of volume today, a bunch of heavy singles, so we'll get some extra volume in, get some more blood flowing, and then we'll build on this week by week. All right, it's about 1 hour and 8 minutes. Just finished squatting for the day. I'm impressed with the RPE calculator. 375 for 5, felt spot on at around a 9. I could probably push out another one, but the form was starting to break down. The second to last rep was looking a little wobbly there. What's cool is also based on the 415 for 1 and 8, it's predicted 1 rep max of 450 and my actual 1 rep max of 455 as on the board. So the estimation calculator there is pretty spot on based on the numbers you put in. So now we're going to move on to incline bench press with a wide grip. Whether a close grip or a wide grip is better or worse for you isn't really the point of this. It's more to add a bit more variation to the movement, because we have tested out that close grip for about 5 weeks. We're going to now do 5 grip. We're about to now do 5 weeks with a wide grip. So we're just adding in that variety, which is a good thing to have, while still being pretty similar to the actual bench press movement itself. We're not deviating too far away from the specificity spectrum by doing, say, cable flies or dips, which aren't bad exercises in and of themselves. You might ask, what is wide grip? And I would answer that it's relative to your regular bench press style. If your regular bench press was, say, just above the shoulders, around here, then a wide grip could be anywhere obviously wider than that. Same with, goes to the narrow grip too. If you're benching out here, a narrow grip might just be what looks like a regular bench press for someone, or you might have to come in here if your regular bench press is here, because the point of the wide or the narrow grip is to elicit a different training response by modifying the lift just a little bit, just with the grip. I mean, obviously now we're doing the angle, but you could do a flat bench press with close grip or flat bench press with wide grip. And if you're already gripping pretty wide, you would have to go wider to elicit more of a variation in your training, because if you just did the same thing, you're just doing a regular grip bench press for you, a regular grip for you with an incline. So if you want to stimulate different muscle groups, I mean, they talk about narrow grip is more tricep focused, whereas the wider grip is more pec focused. So if you're already benching pretty wide, you might need to either widen it out if at all possible, or do a regular grip bench press, a shoulder width bench press, because that's a different variation if that's different to your narrow grip bench press. Just something to think about when you're looking at what grip width to take. So first time ever doing Hatfield squats. Not sure I know the purpose of them, but they were interesting. I watched a couple of how-to videos on YouTube, which mainly just showed you how to do it, didn't explain why you do it. So a little bit more research needed on my part. I think I'm doing them correctly. This is what I've seen. I'll be obviously a bit more conservative with the weight choice this week because it is a brand new movement. So we're just going to see how far I can go doing sets of 10. I mean, the weights are going to stay light anyway because it is 10 reps per set. But we'll see how it turns out. Hopefully I figure this movement out. It's feeling different. It's feeling definitely more leg dominant. I think it's meant to take off some glute and hamstring activation in the squat, but again, I could be wrong. And it is a relatively lightweight so far, so we'll see how this continues moving forward. So just got done with the workout for the day. Tried out, first time ever doing Hatfield squats. I looked them up in the 5-minute break that I had, and apparently it's meant to be an overload squat movement. So it's meant to help you pull through the sticking point, so the arms are helping you with balance. And as you pull up, as you squat up, if there's a sticking point, you can kind of use your arms for some assistance there. So I start pretty conservatively with the weight just to get used to the movement and get used to how my body is moving in relation to the 2 barbells on the rack. So it's interesting having to hold yourself and do a squat at the same time. Never done that before. I can see this being able to overload quite heavily. So I think that's why they put it with a higher volume target, because you could get yourself into a fair amount of danger while pushing that weight without regard for anything else. So with all that in mind, today's session did take an hour and 55 minutes, a little bit longer than I would like, but we did work some heavy singles. I could probably drop the weight down there, cut down the break periods in between, like the accessory movements like the incline and the Hatfield squats. So something to work on in the future. I think it went well overall. I think the shoulder issues have mostly disappeared, probably at 95%. There is some lingering issues here and there throughout the day and when I sleep, but when I start training, it kind of disappears. So we'll see how it holds up for when I do some pull-ups during the GPP days. So thanks for watching if you made it this far. This will be the second week with this new format. The first week showed me a lot, trying to talk in between sets. Maybe not every set I need to talk between. So let me know what you think in the comments below, how you like this format. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it useful for you? Kind of my thoughts along the way. Check out my website, WynnStrength.com, where I keep a weekly training blog. That's a bit more up to date than the videos. It is quicker to type than it is to record and edit. So I'll address different issues there that I come across that are more fluid in the writing process and I'm able to look at with some hindsight. I'll leave the links below for the Barbell Medicine guys. Check out their forum. They have a bunch of free resources, which I really like. This has been Selwyn from WynnStrength, and remember, a better life through strength.